Are there any questions right now on how I plug those numbers in? Again, I just took all the x's, each one of them, and plugged it in for the x. Any questions at all, like on how you would plug numbers into? Remember, just in case, just since we're talking about this right now and we're doing the test, x squared. You guys should know this now. Anything with a squared is quadratic, and then anything with an x in the exponent should be exponential. Okay, so here the whole point of this is to compare a quadratic function with an exponential function and to see what happens as the numbers get bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, any questions at all on that? I'm going to go look at the chat right now. Nothing? Whoa. If you need me to go back to it, I can. Nothing in the chat. All right, so speak now. Any questions on how to plug stuff into a quadratic or an exponential function? Okay, so now down here, it tells you to graph and label them and use two different colors. Okay, so if I remember correctly, I think f of x was the x squared, and g of x was 2 to the x power. Okay, so I'm just going to go, I'm going to plot the points right now because I can do it in my head. Okay, but for f of x, remember I think it was 0, comma 0, because 0 squared would be 0. So our first point would be right there. Then when we plug in 1, 1 squared is 1. So we'd go over 1. Oh, this is going to be hard to graph. Up 1, right in the middle. And then we plug in 2, we got out 4. So we'll go over 2, up 4. And then when we plugged in 3, 3 squared is 9. So over 3, now I'm going to have to start erasing. Up 9. So that's going to be right there. Okay, and then we had 4, comma 16. So that's right there, okay? And then it says connect them. And just extend it with an arrow as always. Okay, so that's our purple graph. That would be f of x. That's what the graph of x squared would look like. Half of it. You know, we didn't do anything over here. But that doesn't matter. Okay, so again, I'm erasing this stuff, but you can watch the video, so you should be able to keep up. All right, so now for g of x, again, I'm just doing this fast because I can't scroll up to, I had to erase my old numbers. So you guys already have all these numbers. I'm just coming up with them on my own. So we plugged 0 in, and it'd be 2 to the, remember, here the x's are being plugged in there. Okay, down here we were plugging in the x's there. So every time we plug in a gold, it's going to be 2 to that power. So 2 to the 0 power is 1. So that means here, when I put 0 in, I get 1 out. So I'm a little bit higher. Here, when I plug in 1, I get out 2. Because 2 to the first power is 2. Okay, so my next point would be over 1 up 2. Right there. Then when I plug in 2, it's going to be 4. So these ones actually, now they share a point. Okay, so they intersect right there. When I plug in 3, I think it was 8. Because remember, these numbers on the right are just doubling every time. So over 3 up 8 would be there. So now I'm a little below. Over 4, now it's going to be 16. So now, again, we met up. But then when I put in 5, it's going to be 32 now. So my 5, over 5 is going to be like way up here. So this graph, it starts above, then they meet, then it goes below, then it gets back above. Okay, so, and we looked at this, I believe we looked at this on Desmos. But this is what happens when we compare this graph with this graph. Okay, and so then these questions down here, they just ask you like from 0 to 2, which one of them is bigger? Which one of them is on top? Okay, so if you look from 0 to 2, the gold one is on top. That was g of x. So from 0 to 2, g of x is bigger. And then it wants to know, okay, so what about when you go from 2 to 4? Well, when you go from 2 to 4, you should notice that now that's when f of x is bigger. But then when you go after that, now it's going to ask you from 4 all the way to infinity. And that's when we notice that the yellow one jumps back on top. Okay, so the whole idea behind this is that in the very, very end, like if you go towards infinity, this yellow one is always going to be on top. Okay, so what that means, and I just want to I want to write this down so you guys have this. Okay, what that means is that I want to rephrase it in words. Okay? In the end, or in the long run, exponential functions are larger than quadratic functions. Okay, so that's like that whole last part. Again, I'm telling you, like you're not going to have that on your test. Okay, there will not be a question like that on your test. I guarantee it. Okay, with the graph and the 0 to 2 and 2 to 4. Okay, no question like that. But this is all I want you to know from that part of the study guide. Okay, all I want you to keep in mind is that in the very, very end, in the long run, okay, or now that we kind of know what this means, when you go to infinity, okay, if you go all the way to infinity, get really, really big, exponential functions are going to be larger than quadratic functions.